Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Conscious Gatherers. I'm Terry Palma, and I'm joined this evening with Bev and Royse. Ladies, are you there?
Hello. And hello. Welcome, everybody.
Good. So a lot's happened since we talked last 2 weeks ago, and there's probably a lot that we're going to bring up tonight. I know that Bev brought something through that she had shared with me during the week, and I said definitely share that with our audience. And Royse always has some good data to bring in with us that she brings. So, Bev, I'll let you and Royse start it off tonight.
All right. Well, thank you. This is we're calling this our second season, and so this is episode 2 in our season 2. So I know some people were a little confused about our episode numbering, but just to keep in mind that is season 2 on our YouTube channel. Right. So you'll see all this information. And again, before I start in, we welcome all comments, questions, thoughts, feelings, whatever it may be. So keep that in mind, and because it does help us. And even though we tap into the so-called collective consciousness. So, all right. Well, it's certainly been a very eventful last week or 2 weeks since our last podcast, and a lot of information has come through. There's so much happening on the earth plane and beyond because it affects everybody and all beings everywhere, cosmically also. So keep that in mind because, again, we are just absolutely most wonderful beings, and it's time for us to really recognize that. All right. Well, I'm going to start off. This is a information channeling, whatever terminology you want to use, which I received on January the 22nd. Those of you that are listening that are on my subscription, this is not the YouTube subscription, but personal subscription. So if anybody wants to receive that, I do send out some of my channelings, which I don't write near as many as I used to. But anyway, I do send them out. So I did send this out and received some comments on it. So it's really pretty nice how people are feeling. And this what I received the other day may bring up quite a few questions. So I'll just start off sharing the information I received, and we'll go from there. Calling this New Day. Dear ones, the time has come so all can come to a greater understanding of what is to take place on this planet. It is indeed a new day, and this is not what many of you think it is. It is a time of rejoicing, not for the misgivings of the few, but for the outreach of many civilizations that have an interest in your planet. Each one of you will witness the grandness of being in this time of change. It is a time of remembering your roots. It is a time of forgiving those who have trespassed against you. It is a time of forgiving your own trespasses. It is a time of remaining vigilant in your own understandings of the wisdom of the ages. You have come full circle. What is about to take place will turn many on their heads. What has been usurped shall be open for all to see. This one you call the current President of the United States shall make himself known for his role. It is a coming out of sorts. It is a revealing of the agendas put forth by ones who have controlled the many on this earth. Remain calm as all is revealed, and it soon will be revealed in a manner that you may not be used to. Ones will step forth to tell their stories, and you will know the truth that is spoken. Many will deny what is being said. However, it will become very apparent that it is the truth. As one scramble to learn more, again remain vigilant in your light. It shall set you free. Know the truth of your beingness and that you are here to bring these important changes into the light. Gather in groups if you feel the need. This shall help dissipate the anxiety that may result of such knowingness. Speak to the masses, for they need to hear these truths, and that is to speak openly and freely, without looking over your shoulder, wondering who is watching and ready to leap. This is the fear many of you still hold on to, and this fear is being perpetuated at this time. It shall falter. This United States is a republic, one nation under God. The world is about to change in ways unimaginable. Hold tight, it starts now. That's it.
Very cool. And again, this is the second time, this is the first time I've heard it, but I read it before. And I know my reaction was, as soon as I read that, Bev had sent it out, I said, oh, Bev, you've got to share that with our audience, because I think it's very powerful. There's a lot of meanings in there, both coherent and not so coherent. So thank you again for sharing that with our audience.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I appreciate that. And, we can, any comments that either Terry or Royse on any of this?
I do. If it's okay, I would like to insert something that may be of help to all of us. And it's what are some of the telltale signs when we've been deceived? How do we know that we've been deceived? And as spiritual beings, we have discernment built into us. With some people, it's stronger than others, and like any other thing, it's like a muscle that you have to develop to get it stronger so that you can hone in on it. A feeling in your gut that something's wrong, that's one telltale sign that you've been deceived. Some people could get a cold feeling or a tense feeling, nervousness, being antsy, anger, or confused. So there's any number of ways that you can tell, and you just have to pay attention to yourself. How do you feel in your gut? You can tell. You'll be able to figure that one out yourself. So what do you do about this when you get these feelings and you truly feel that you've been deceived? Well, you can go into your center, the very center of your being. Hold your consciousness there and ground yourself there. And before long, that center will become everything, the all. You'll become one with the all. That which is false, that which is the deceit factor, will then disappear. It can't reside in that oneness. So I think that will be of help to all of us during these days and during our everyday lives. When something just doesn't feel right, then wait a minute, there's some kind of deceit going on here. Something's not right. So we get to figure out what it is, or you don't even have to know what it is. Just realize how you perceive the deceit and then go into your center, because that's where the truth is. That's where one is. And when you're in that place, all of the stuff that is garbage just falls away.
Thank you. Terry?
I'm here. A thought came to me as you were talking about that, and a question popped into my mind. Who is doing the deceiving? Because
that can be ourselves. It can be something outside of ourselves. More often than not, we're deceiving ourselves.
Well, that's the point, because, there's nothing outside ourselves from my belief system. So I liked when you said go to center, because what happens when you go to center, or you've stopped focusing on what's happening and you just go inside? That's where you said the truth is, and that's correct. And you can ask, why am I being deceived, and for what reason? You can even ask, who's deceiving me, if you choose to, and all those answers will come rushing in. And you'll find out that those are things that you've put there to make you more awake, to awaken yourself. Because remember, we have the I am is what we are. And then that is the unrestricted consciousness, unconditioned consciousness. And then when we add to that, that's what conditions it. And those things that are outside us, that we perceive outside us, people outside us, events outside us, those are all there that we and our subconscious have put there for a reason and for a lesson. So, you know, the worst thing that from my standpoint, again, this is from my standpoint, is to put a blame on someone for deceiving you, because they didn't, you did. And then you fall into the dichotomy of one side or another. You fall into judgment. All of those things that keep us separated, as opposed to the things that bring us together. Does that make sense for you?
Mm-hmm.
That's just my point of view.
Yes.
Okay. And there's I'm going to call it levels to our understanding of what has gone on and what is going on now. So, and I'm sure, Terry, you're going to have and Royse, a comment on this, because I welcome that. If we take it down, if I can use those words, to a more physical level, like what's going on in the United States. So, okay, we got a new president, and he does he's doing things differently, and some people are getting angry, and other people just love it. So, you know, it's wherever you're at on your path, so to speak, as to what feels right for you. Then what happens if either something happens and all of a sudden we're seeing, and that's kind of what this writing says that I read a little bit earlier, that what I got the other day, that that's going to turn people on their heads. So in other words, some other truths are going to come out, things that we have believed, and as human beings, and all of a sudden we're going to see it in a whole different light, even though it is all within ourselves. However, what we call our outer world is changing, again, because we decreed it. So I do understand that, and hopefully the audience understands that, because, you know, we set this thing up. So at least that's how I feel it. So so even on a more physical level, some people call it 3D, 4D. You know, I don't even think that matters. But it's like, okay, how come I've been so misled? How come I couldn't see it? And all of this type of thing. And I think that's going to come into view. And so what, you know, Royse was saying about going to the center, it's seeing the falsehoods that have been portrayed on this earth, and then you let them go and let them dissolve. So it's okay if we have been misled, if I can say it that way. If we feel we have been misled, yes, we're going to probably get angry at first, and then we're going to go, oh, okay, let's move on now. So it's going to be a little tough on a lot of people, and there's a lot of support out there. And I think that's what this article, this message was talking about. Speak openly and freely, and gather in groups if you must, because that does help others understand. So any other comments on that?
Yeah, I'll comment on that.
Okay.
We're here in a two-dimensional existence in the physical form, and it's the best classroom there is, because you're your words and your actions, you actually can see the consequences of those thoughts, words, and actions. And that's where the learning is. The way I'm looking at, and the way I look at our experiences, it's a big drama. And the more you understand that it's a drama, the more you can just sit back and watch it. It's like going to a play. If you go to a play and the play is very one-sided, it's very dry, you don't have a hero, you don't have a villain, you don't have a plot that's going on, it's pretty dull. But as soon as you get, and the actors in that play, the better they're portraying their roles, the more they're part of it, the more that play takes on life and meaning. Well, that's what's going on here now. It's always been going on here now. The ones that are playing the parts, they're doing a really, really good job. And it's keeping the drama going. But to judge why they're doing that, we don't know why they're doing that. We don't know if that's what their mission was, to come in and show and be the darkness so the light can be shown to others. That could be a choice. You have to have that in order for people to awaken. So from my standpoint, I got caught up in the drama for a little bit, and then I realized, wait a minute, this is a nice, pattern that's happening here, and people are playing their part and they're doing an excellent job. I'm just going to sit back and see how this whole play works out, and not make a judgment, and just kind of enjoy it. And because and the same thing with when I explained COVID last week. I didn't say it directly, and I'm going to say it much more directly today. If I get involved in the drama, if I let the emotions come in there, I'm susceptible to what goes on in that play and that drama and catching COVID. Well, I was exposed to COVID, but with my age and my health conditions, I should have gone under. And I didn't, because I'm not playing the game. I'm not in the drama. I'm watching the drama. I do what I know I need. I'm in control of my life. I'm in control of how I react to the drama and play, and I choose not to. And when I do, I notice it and move back, and I take care of myself with energy and thoughts, love, and stuff that Royse and Bev all know about. So that's how I'm looking at what's going on. And really, I've just kind of come to that in the last couple of days, because I have to admit, I was watching that play, and I was watching the evil side of the play, and I was watching the good part of the play, and I was like, and I go, wait a minute, it's a play, Terry. Just sit back and enjoy and watch, and don't make a judgment, because you don't know why they're here playing that part. And that's true, we don't. What part are they playing? And they're playing a great part, and that could be a mission that they chose to come into for this life, to help people awaken. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, well, this is interesting, and I hope, Royse, you don't mind, because we were doing a meditation before the podcast, and it's really what you were seeing. So, okay. I don't remember what it was. Okay, well, I do. We're asking about cosmic change or reset. So what Royse was saying, she's sitting right here, but like, okay, what happened? It's like going down a tunnel in a dark tunnel, and it's like going down, down, down. And then you said,
I said, I'm not going down.
Yeah. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and so the all of a sudden the tunnel started racing upward, and felt like it wasn't really breaking through, and I demanded it. I said, open up, and I immediately saw the sun shining through, and found my way out. So,
and the person, there's a ethereal person or whatever, being holding some kind of a book, and I felt the book was the tunnel. And then I was looking at the face of the being after this, after he said open the sky. Now, obviously, I'm looking in my inside my own intuitiveness, and I did see a smile, and all of a sudden he just disappeared. So in other words, it's not real.
Yeah.
So it's interesting when you're first you're like, why did I see that? You know, why'd that happen? Well, now you know, and you're observing yourself through the processes. It's like, it's not real.
Yeah. Once you decide to call the shots yourself instead of having them called for you, that's when the good stuff happens. You can open up through the deceit, shine through the light.
And it's like gone, poof,
Yeah.
you know? So, and interesting how we see things in symbology. So it's wonderful. As we're breaking open those barriers, and I keep getting removing the mask. I get mask all the time. And I was getting masks before the masks were even popular.
That's real interesting.
Yeah, I know. So the masks are being removed, and I feel that's going to be more and more so. But one of the big things that you were talking about is self-responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that this my message last week said, and that's to speak openly and freely without looking over your shoulder, wondering who is watching and ready to leap.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they're gone. There's nothing there. Not saying there's other beings that want to stop us, but are they even real? I mean, you really start looking at all of this. What's real anymore? So the sphere is faltering once we start looking at it and going into the center, and then the poof, the falseness and the deceit is gone.
Yeah.
All right. Really makes you look at life so differently. And, we got this, as Terry said, we got this big old drama playing out. And, some people are calling it stories and liking it to a movie. I was watching somebody recently, and he was saying, yeah, it's like a movie, and you're at such and such a page, and then, the villain, in comes the saviors, or this is not exactly what was said, but it's how I'm remembering it, and then the villains are taken over. So, or the strike force, or whatever word you want to use, but that's really us understanding who we are and saying, okay, we played that game long enough, and let's move on.
Yeah, enough's enough. Let's get off of this roller coaster or merry-go-round.
Yeah, our last podcast was about a roller coaster. So it's like, okay, put your hands in the air, enjoy the ride, and it's going to go up and down. So and we definitely are doing that. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. The other thing that that Royse and I received, and both of us got the words to this, and it was called Liberty Rising, and it's where we were seeing a lit torch come out of Washington, D.C. And when I wrote this down, I said it was washed in white light, but it was more like I was seeing, if you see a pile of whipped cream, for instance, and it's stacked in the center. I was seeing that for quite a while, and I thought, well, that's kind of odd. Well, we figured it out. We saw the Statue of Liberty, or I think Royse saw the torch. Saw the torch. I actually saw the whole figure come out with the torch lit, and then both of us saw the Lady Liberty, or Statue of Liberty, in the center of the United States. And then we realized just a couple days ago that if we were to take that Lady Liberty, or Statue of Liberty, or take it out of the ground and stretch it, it would go from coast to coast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, whoa, it makes total sense now, and why we're seeing it so big, because it took in the whole United States. So, that's really pretty interesting. And then I think Royse was seeing the green patina washed off, or it's just dripping off of the statue, and then exposing the brilliant shining metal that it is. And it's made out of copper. So copper, when it oxidates, it turns green. So all of that green was falling off to expose the shininess underneath. So it was quite the vision. And I think everybody can probably see that as we're talking about it. So, some of the words that we received, it said, she shall rise as a current of faith rises in the hearts of men. Rise, 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 rise again and stand for all those oppressed. You want to hear all this? Keep going.
Yes.
All right. Within the hearts of those who weep, there is but one truth. Trust in the light which shines within, and darkness shall never overtake thee, O nation of the stars upon a field of blue. A nation built by light, whose blood runs red, and whose hearts shine beyond the billowy shades of space. Stand true, for we are the red, the white, and the blue. Remember the Alamo. Beseech in thee the dignity that all man shall rise from the ashes of what was into the reaches of heaven proudly displayed on this earth. The tutorial of her majesty shall again rise in the midst of love. You shall know that the day is here when all mankind shall lay down their arms to welcome in a new day.
Beautiful.
Yes, it is beautiful.
It was interesting because we were both getting words and we just put it together. And then we looked up Alamo, and I wrote down what does the Alamo mean? Really, what obviously there was a battle going on the Alamo. Remember the Alamo? But what does that really mean? And what I wrote down was strength and perseverance. So whatever that means to.
And honor comes into play there too.
Okay, that makes sense.
Sacrifice comes in.
Yeah. So a lot going on in what we call the outer world, and once we're so much more peaceful within ourselves, that we're going to see peace in the outer world, because we are writing the story or the drama. It's all of us doing this together, and so you're right, Terry. You said you can't judge because you don't know what role they're playing. And their part is to play the bad guy so we can all see the truth of who we truly are. And so it's to realize that instead of pointing the finger, how many times we've said this on this podcast, you point the finger in one direction, all the other fingers are pointing back at you. Mm-hmm. And it's really indeed, I was saying the same thing over and over, but, are we getting it yet? Yeah, we're getting it. So we've got a brave new world here. I think it's the name of a book. All right. I've spoken a lot, so any more comments from Terry or Royse?
I've said most of what when I came in tonight, I had nothing planned to talk, and you ladies always spur on thoughts from what comes through, and I pretty much talked myself out on those opinions. I've kind of thought what I'm going to next week, if I can find it. I'm going to carry on a little bit about the play and don't judge someone on what they're playing because you don't know why they're doing it. There's a little story somewhere, and I'm going to try. I choose to find it for 2 weeks. And speaking of that, our next show will be Tuesday, February the 9th. Just so our audience knows, we go every other Tuesday night at 7:00 Eastern. So it'll be on the 9th of February. Can't believe that we're already going to be a whole month into this new year. It seems like it just was New Year last week. And it's the 30 days have almost flown by here. So, I know I'm enjoying the play. So that when you enjoy something, it moves along a lot faster.
Well, it's interesting because I've noticed it. Sometimes it seems like time goes so fast, and then with everything that's gone on, and you think it was a week ago, and it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And because there's so much happening in the world, and then you go from one thing to the next, unless you're sit in quietness, which I can't say I do that. But yeah, it's just interesting looking at time, and we talked about merging timelines, and you can see it.
Right.
You know how we're experiencing it.
It's very interesting. If you're in the center, you have no desire of an outcome one way or another. You actually can see and enjoy things much better. You can see the actors playing their part, and you can actually figure out, what side do you think is portraying truth and not truth? They're playing a part, and they both could be very beneficial and positive, but there's only one truth, and the opposite sides are going to be pointing to, truth. And it's very easy to see what truth is. And what am I trying to say here? When someone speaks and it doesn't make sense, it just doesn't make sense, that there's an ulterior to what they're speaking about, and it's not what they're saying. And I'm not speaking in any particular reference, yet it could go towards any particular reference. So when someone's speaking, listen. Don't get ready to react. Listen how you feel. And if the words that they're saying don't match what would commonly be presented for that, if something's astray, then you know that they're playing a part, and that part's over there, and they're trying to lead you one way or another. And it could be both sides doing that same thing. But that's what you're able to see that much better when you're neutral and observing. It's too hard when you're on one side or the other. You're caught, and you can't. It's impossible to see the other side's point of view from a neutral point because you're locked into one side. Mm-hmm. Again, there I am go rambling.
No, well said. I think that's well said because you do get locked. You do get locked in.
I mean, I could give a perfect example, but I'd sound like I'm on one side, and I'm not on one side. I'm on neither side, but something just doesn't make sense. And why is this is happening? So I'm going to give an example, okay? Again, I'm not one side or another, but one side has really presented itself to be pretty clear to me. And it's going to be political, and I don't usually talk it, but I'm going to. Why in the world would one party want to impeach and throw out another party's candidate that's not even in office and is a public person? There's something else going on in that thing. It's not what that particular law on the books was written for. So if you're in the middle, I could care less. I can see that that's not there's something else going on to that. And I don't know what it is, but I can see clearly that it's not what they say it's for. There's no reason to. It's not even lawful. But that's an example.
Totally unconstitutional.
Yeah. Sorry to be political, but I'm not. I'm more in the middle. I'm not registered to either party. And when it comes to vote, I vote when my heart does. So,
well,
anyway.
I'm seeing both of them eyes, if you want to call it that. Each, as you said, playing their parts. This is the story that's being played out, and it's really interesting to see this story played out. And some people are very locked in one side, some people are very locked into the other side. And I've asked people. I said, "What if you found out that what your thoughts are incorrect?" Well, it can't be. I wouldn't like it. All these things. I said, well, look at it from both sides, so to speak. So if you are locked into a side, other than that, you observe and without judgment, because I do think you're right that this play's being played out, because I've been asking about certain people, and somebody say he's dark or whatever, and then find out, well, are you sure? Or are they just playing their part?
Yeah.
And for a reason, even though they're shown as being dark by certain ones, if that makes sense. So, but it does to me.
When you're looking from one side or the other, both sides are dark from the opposite side. One's right, one's wrong. And it doesn't matter what side you're on. The other side's wrong. If you're on the side. So,
Yeah.
but if you stay in the middle, and because both sides on every issue, whether it's political, religious, spirit, there's always going to be two sides to the coin, and both of them have some rights and wrongs. You can't see it until you're in the middle, and then when you're in the middle, you're at the I am, I think, and you're centered, and the correctness will come to you automatically. And at that point, you're not judging either side. You're just seeing what's going on in the play. That's
Right.
what it's all about. We're all here to learn. We're all here to grow, and you can't grow and learn if you're not in the middle and not seeing things and not learning from them. The whole thing is a learning opportunity. Not let's pick sides, I win, you lose. There is no loser here, because we're all here to grow and become one. So anyway, I've said enough for tonight. I went into politics and didn't mean to.
I can give a pretty good, I can say something that might make a lot of sense. If you've ever studied the tarot, you know that there's the coin shown on the table of the magician. Is he the one with the coin? Yes, the magician. And we all know that every coin has two sides, but on that coin there is a 5-pointed star. When you go on further into the tarot deck, you come upon the Hermit, and I have studied a deck of the tarot that light shining from the Hermit's lantern is a 6-pointed star. Now, you might be thinking, where in the world is she going with this? But when you draw a 5-pointed star, and you have the bottom 2 points are spread out a little bit further than the others, and you draw another 5-pointed star upside down and put it right on top of that image, the two come together and make a 6-pointed star. So it's only when you put both sides of the coin together that you see the light. So that's pretty self-explanatory. We have to put both sides together in order to understand the truth.
And the other perspective of, you have two sides on one coin. It's one representing, the two sides. And when you break it all down, you're holding the oneness of everything.
Yes, exactly.
All right, ladies, unless you have something else, I think that was a very good episode, and we can bring it to an end. I'll give each of you a last statement if you'd like.
Well, all right. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. And this indeed is understanding the wisdom of the ages. I do feel there are going to be things that come up in this world that may surprise a lot of people, but to remain in that centeredness that Royse and Terry so eloquently talked about. So we thank you for being here, and we definitely appreciate it.
I would like to say the same thing that I said last week, and that is, I love you, and thank you for staying.
Very good. Thank you all, and we'll see you 2 weeks from tonight. Take care. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.